When the Neanderthals become extinct. Neanderthals, one of the closest relatives of modern humans, lived across Europe and parts of Western Asia for about 300,000 years. However, their extinction occurred around 40,000 years ago, marking the end of their presence on Earth. This event has sparked numerous debates and studies among scientists as to the exact cause. The story of the Neanderthals begins around 400,000 years ago. They were a highly successful species, living through ice ages and adapting to various environmental changes. Neanderthals had strong, stocky bodies, designed for surviving cold climates, and they were skilled hunters and gatherers, using sophisticated tools and controlling fire. They shared a common ancestor with modern humans and lived alongside early humans, Homo sapiens, for thousands of years. During their peak, Neanderthals occupied vast territories in Europe, from the cold steppes of northern Europe to the warmer Mediterranean regions. Evidence suggests that they lived in small groups, creating complex social structures, and even had burial rituals, indicating some form of spiritual beliefs. They created tools, fashioned clothing, and were capable of symbolic thinking, though their culture and way of life were distinct from that of Homo sapiens. As their population grew, they encountered changing climates, new challenges, and eventually, another species, Homo sapiens. These early modern humans, emerging in Africa around 200,000 years ago, slowly migrated out of Africa and into the territories once dominated by Neanderthals. As Homo sapiens, or early modern humans, began to migrate out of Africa, they encountered the Neanderthals in regions where the two species had coexisted for thousands of years. This meeting was not the start of a harmonious relationship. The arrival of Homo sapiens into Neanderthal territories around 60,000 years ago brought significant changes to the world of Neanderthals. Homo sapiens were more advanced in certain areas, especially in terms of technology, communication, and social organization. While Neanderthals were skilled hunters with a well-established way of life, Homo sapiens introduced new, more efficient tools, as well as improved strategies for hunting and gathering. The migration of early humans into these territories often led to competition for resources, including food, shelter, and territory. But it wasn't just competition that defined the relationship between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. There is significant evidence suggesting that the two species interacted in other ways as well. Genetic studies show that modern humans of non-African descent have traces of Neanderthal DNA, indicating interbreeding. This suggests that, while there may have been conflict, there was also some level of mixing between the two species. However, whether this interbreeding was peaceful or a result of forced encounters is still a topic of much debate. Despite this, Neanderthals were already facing significant challenges before Homo sapiens arrived. The climate was changing, and the ice age was slowly retreating. This shift in the environment made the resources that Neanderthals relied on less stable. Meanwhile, Homo sapiens, with their advanced tools, more diverse diets, and social structures, may have had an advantage in adapting to these changes. Over time, as Homo sapiens spread across Europe and Asia, they gradually displaced Neanderthals from many areas. Neanderthal populations began to decline, unable to maintain their once thriving presence. But while Homo sapiens were becoming dominant, Neanderthals still managed to survive in isolated pockets, such as in the caves of southern Spain, for thousands of years. By the time Homo sapiens had established a foothold in Neanderthal territories, a variety of factors had already set the stage for the decline of the Neanderthal population. Although the two species coexisted for thousands of years, the Neanderthals struggled to adapt to rapid environmental changes. Their smaller population size and ongoing competition with modern humans contributed to their eventual extinction. One of the primary challenges faced by the Neanderthals was climate change. The Neanderthals had survived multiple ice ages, adapting their lifestyle and hunting methods to cold and harsh environments. However, as the last ice age ended around 12,000 years ago, the climate began to warm, leading to changes in vegetation, animal migrations, and the availability of resources. The warming climate created an environment that may not have been conducive to the Neanderthals' way of life. While some Neanderthal groups managed to adapt, the changing conditions placed extra strain on their already limited populations. Neanderthals were also less capable of exploiting new environments compared to Homo sapiens. Early modern humans, with their greater technological advances, were able to adapt to a wide range of habitats. They invented better tools, developed more diverse diets, and formed larger social groups, all of which contributed to their survival and expansion. This made them more resilient to the changing environment than the Neanderthals, whose more rigid lifestyle and specialized tools were less adaptable. The constant competition with Homo sapiens likely added further pressure. Modern humans brought not only advanced technologies but also more effective social strategies, including long-distance trade, art, and communication systems. Neanderthals, with their relatively smaller groups and limited social networks, struggled to keep pace. In addition, the superior social structures of Homo sapiens meant that they were more efficient at organizing for survival, whether it was through coordinated hunting strategies, resource sharing, or collaboration within larger groups. Despite these difficulties, the Neanderthals' resilience should not be underestimated. They survived for thousands of years after Homo sapiens arrived, indicating that they were not immediately outcompeted or wiped out. Some researchers believe that the Neanderthals' slow decline could have been influenced by the gradual assimilation of Neanderthal genes into Homo sapiens populations, suggesting that the extinction of Neanderthals was a process of cultural and biological absorption rather than a sudden, catastrophic event. By around 40,000 years ago, the Neanderthals had effectively disappeared from the archaeological record. The last known populations of Neanderthals, living in isolated pockets, such as in the caves of southern Spain, were slowly overtaken by the expanding Homo sapiens. However, their extinction wasn't a simple disappearance. It was the result of a complex interplay of environmental factors, cultural shifts, and interactions with modern humans. As Homo sapiens spread across Europe and parts of Asia, they continued to exert pressure on Neanderthal populations. These last Neanderthals were pushed into more remote areas, where survival became increasingly difficult. Limited access to resources, along with the challenges posed by the warming climate and the need to compete with more socially organized Homo sapiens, led to the gradual disappearance of Neanderthal groups.